to school together. He's a couple of years older than you, but he actually went to Redan.
Yeah.
In Atlanta. So, he's a side kid. So it's weird watching Swiss in action.
Absolutely.
But yeah, okay. Well, let's get into today's topic, guys. I want to talk about remixing the classics. I know a lot of y'all may not understand what that is, but I want to try something that we've done this before a little bit, but we've never taken a whole call to do so. Last week, my daughter asked me to take her to McDonald's. This is like a thing that she's on now, right? It's been going on for, I guess, a few months. I guess, Tiff, maybe even a year. I don't know. But I'm not a fast food eater. Chick-fil-A is where I kind of draw the line. But like McDonald's, Burger King, that's just not my vibe. I'm just too whatever. Call me bougie, call me whatever you want. But I'm just not, the fast food guy no more. But when we went to McDonald's, I took her there to get a Happy Meal. She wanted to go inside. And we go inside. And I'm looking around, and like McDonald's has kind of updated their dining room. And the dining room is way more like techie now, right? It's like a touch screen where you can order your own food. But like they've removed the tables. It was probably 8 to 10 tables in there maybe. Everything was smaller. They had just taken some strides to try to update the dining room. And then I also went to the library. Me, Tiff, and my 6-year-old, same child, went to the library. I don't know, Tiff, what was that, earlier this year? That was this year, right? That we went to the library?
Yeah, like 2 months ago.
Yeah, it was 2 months ago? Oh, it seemed longer than that. But yeah, we went to the library downtown Atlanta. Amazing library. We have this beautiful, beautiful library, kind of like that I would say would rival any, big city's library, right downtown, pretty much off of Peachtree.
Peachtree Center.
And yeah, the one by Peachtree Center, yeah. And, we went in there and we noticed that, there was a lot of homeless people on the bottom floor. The second floor is where they've put the computers for with Wi-Fi and internet access. And when I spoke to the people who were running the library, the heads of the Atlanta Public Library System, they were like, yeah, Nick, we could really use some help kind of driving traffic back to the library, hosting events, getting celebrities to come by, doing some book signings, book readings, this whole thing. And so what I wanted to do on this call today was talk about like updating the things that we grew up on. I really want to do a lot of ideation because I want to get from the ideation part to actually marketing these things. I feel like the stuff that we grew up on, movie theaters, playgrounds, libraries, eating, and if you're of a certain age, you ate inside Pizza Hut at one point. You ate inside McDonald's at one point. Just real quick, for the people that's on the stage, when's the last time y'all ate inside of a McDonald's, of a Burger King, of a KFC, of a Taco Bell? You went inside, bought some food, and sat down and ate it there. Wendy's,
a decade.
I can't remember.
21 years.
2000, at least 2000 something. 2000, maybe, I don't know, 2000. No, man, it might have been like 2000.
The 90s?
Yeah, it might have been the 90s, dog. Late 90s.
Yeah, the chat, please, if you're in the chat room, please chime in. When's the last time you sat down and ate, a lot of us, even with kids, we go through the drive-thru. And so my question to everybody here is, if you're at McDonald's and the kids aren't playing on the playground slides anymore, the people aren't sitting down in the dining room to eat anymore, unless a lot of times I've seen like Boy Scout troops or like summer camps or baseball teams. I see them go into like the fast food restaurants and they'll take over the lobby for a while and they'll eat, but then they usually just kind of hop back on the bus and go on about their business. But if you're any of these businesses, and we talked about this during COVID for 2020, I remember us talking about updating the movie theaters, because one of my ideas for the movie theaters was like, the movie theaters need to start showing these UFC fights. They need to start showing the Super Bowl and some of these big games. I think that would be a novel way to kind of use these movie theaters if no one's going to the movies, especially at that point when they were trying to get people to come back as opposed to sitting on Netflix and streaming from home. What do you do with these places? But, after seeing the library and seeing McDonald's and just noticing what I noticed, that real estate that they're buying that they're building out for a dining room in McDonald's is almost useless. And, from what I saw. Having a 7-story library that nobody's coming to is almost useless, from what I saw. So I know I got a lot of smart, creative people on this call, in the audience, on the stage, and in the chat. I'm curious, and I just want to hear what you guys have ever even considered. What would you do with that space that is now the Wendy's dining room. Like when I was young, it was Super Bar. You can go in Wendy's, you get a burger. They had a salad. They had all kind of shit. You can make a little taco. If I remember correctly, this was at Wendy's. That was Burger King. We would go in there and eat, sit down at the table the whole night. Pizza Hut. Like I said, if you're 30 plus, you might have sat down at a Pizza Hut and got a pizza out of a hot black pan. They brought it to your table. It was salad. They got the red cups that they got the sodas in. Like I can remember and smell Pizza Hut right now as I'm describing it to y'all. But what would y'all do with that space now? If no one's using it, do you just make everything to go, or how do you remodel, reuse, reimagine these spaces going into the next generation? For if any of y'all have a toddler or a teen that's let's say even 12, 13. What would you do to a library, a playground, a fast food restaurant, a movie theater, or whatever? Hell, a bank at this point. A bank. What would you do to make it make sense for the next generation?
So I think it's two things to consider. One, the experience. Three. We live in a different time frame. When we were experiencing, when you asked the question, I was thinking, I was like, shit, I was probably 16 when I did that. I'll be 38 in August. So it's been a very, very long time. But also the internet didn't exist at scale with mobile devices. So the time frame has shifted. So our strategies around what an experience is has to shift with all companies. So that's one. Two, then I would ask the question, is the going thought that they're making more revenue with people having the ability to sit inside? So it's less about the experience of sitting down, and it's more about time spent in store. So if I'm looking at a metric like time spent in store, I would want to know, how long has this individual been here? Oh, they've been here. For every purchase, the average person sit down for 20 minutes. How much do they buy in that 20 minutes? Well, they're only making one purchase per 20 minutes. We have to get them out of the store because we're losing real estate space for people to actually come in, and then they're spending more time in, but they're not actually making more money. This is why, if you remember back in the day, they were sending McDonald's people over to your table and ask if you need anything else. Can they bring you some coffee? Because they're attempting to actually increase the margin for the time spent in store. So that's the second thing. The third thing is, they're probably changing the nature of the store to attract more college kids. I know down at USC, I'm always at that college. They're doing a lot of stuff there. The way that they design the stores at USC are more relative to the quickness of the college student grab and go model than the technology as well. They want their mobile device. They want to be able to order it before they come in the store. They want to be able to come in the store, grab it, and then go. And it may show that the margins are higher for the grab and go model than it is for the buy and sit. So I think it's more of a business decision. And it's relative to where I started, which was the mobile device changed a lot of the proliferation of how they actually build out these stores. Those are my three analysis on the subject. But to answer your question directly, Nick, I would just utilize the real estate as an entertainment space. I think the model is going to be where people, and Apple is kind of showing this with their store. My wife and I, we went to try the Vision Pro on in the store. Ironically, we have it. I was asking my wife, why do we have to go to the store and we already have the damn thing? She said, because I want to see how they guide it. I want to understand their process of how they are teaching the customers. So I said, that's why you're a smart businesswoman. So we went there. We noticed that Apple had already started when they hired the Burberry lady. She changed the entire store. She said, our store needed to be like a meetup spot as well. So the back of the store, they have lessons. They let people come in to learn how to build apps. But even now in the middle of the store with the Apple Vision Pro, they have these pockets where you can put on the Apple Vision Pro and have these different sessions with the Apple Vision Pro. I think that more stores are going to adopt that. I don't know how that looked for Burger King or McDonald's, but these stores are going to be legacy destinations. Lastly, Netflix Houses is coming. They were arguing me down on that app across the street last week. Like, why do you think our business is going to go physical? It's typically people that don't do business, so I'm laughing while I'm on mute. But I'm like, guys, trust me. Most of these companies are going to have physical locations. They're just going to operate differently. And Netflix, what I didn't know was they're building the shit like a mall. So it's extremely huge, the Netflix houses that they're actually building out. Disney is doing a new version of their houses. And even Airbnb now is doing these experiences because they're finding that the whole idea of the convenience of living in someone's home is not as convenient anymore. It's more akin to hotels. So what we're going to do is recreate experiences. So they did the Barbie house in Malibu. They did the Fresh Prince house. And now it's just baked on, hey, come and chill with Kevin Hart for 2 days while playing video games. And I think that the restaurants are going to adopt that model because we shifted in the internet. I'm going on mute.
Okay. So the answer is you go in there and you create these little booths or little almost like mini studios that are mini content creator places, and they're themed. so you can jump around and go to the different ones. So you have one that's maybe all Ronald McDonald and all the McDonald's characters, and the kids can go in there and do that one. Maybe you have a place where you can, get some ring lights, turn them on, clip your phone in, and you can do like almost a podcast from McDonald's. Do your content videos and stuff like that. Maybe you put up some certain ways that that booth and the sound kind of stays in that booth and keeps it right there. I know they got those speakers that it's like a light that's over your head and it's really just aimed straight down. Just create a little content creator because that's where everybody's at right now. I mean, it might change in 10, 15, 20 years, but right now you want the audience in there. Give them a place to go create their content.
I agree. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. I like that.
So similar to what Duran was saying, right? And I responded on your post when you asked it. What's happening with QSRs, quick service restaurants in particular? The pandemic changed everything, right? So what we saw, and I'm in the field. I work for what would be considered a QSR. What happened was we saw more business. Like my drive-through is probably at 70% of my business. Cafe is probably 20%. No. It's less than 15%. And then the rest is like mobile orders. So that's where you see a lot of spaces focusing on. And I'll just strictly speaking to the restaurant experience. Fulton County, that Central Library is a huge resource and underused. Like that's an amazing piece of real estate, just amazing building for what they have to offer Atlanta. But the QSRs in particular, what they're seeing is people just want to grab. They don't want the experience in the cafe. By and large, I'm talking about at scale. They don't want a cafe experience. That's why I said unless it's like a coffee house, because that's kind of built into what that experience is. And even when let's say a McDonald's or a Burger King try and recreate that, McDonald's and Burger King is not known for coffee, so it doesn't register with the customer. It doesn't resonate with the customer. So what you see is those long lines in drive-thru because people want to get their stuff. They want to eat in the car. They want to go to wherever it is they're trying to get to. They don't even want to get out of their car, especially when you think about weather, right? And you think about convenience of being able to order ahead and you pull up in the drive-thru and just get your order and go to wherever it is you're trying to go to, right? So some of the ideas that you see these companies trying to implement, like I like what Dwayne said, but sometimes those ideas can come across as just like novelty. And they're not sustainable at scale. Because, again, those kids are going to want to go where it's cool. So McDonald's would have to, like if a QSR implemented the ability to podcast or create content, if they did that, then they'd also have to rebrand themselves and introduce themselves as the new cool, right? Like how do you get a kid to go into a McDonald's or a Burger King or wherever, right, and create content there and that register with their peer group? It's more likely that they would go at a Starbucks and do it. I can see that happening. But even with Starbucks, you see on a lot of those college campuses, you're going to see a lot of grab and go. A lot of those stores are being converted because they don't want people sitting in their cafe because specifically what Duran was saying, the conversion is not high enough to justify people sitting in your cafe for hours, ordering one drink, and then drinking water for the rest of the night while they do their homework or whatever. But
and menu fluidity. Just really quick. So Chicago-Rilla, that's why I didn't mention like the whole influencers going inside of the store. It's an idea that I consider, but more so if that only works if the menu is very fluid, because then the question becomes, what are they actually talking about in the store? The same menu that McDonald's had? McDonald's will literally have to say, here's our new content space in our store, and here are the new 50 items that we made specifically for these influencers. Then to attempt to bake that into the business model, because what's going to happen? Oh, this new burger that Keith Lee tried, that one went viral. Okay, put that one in production. Now kids want to actually come and get that one. So it goes from how many things do we make for Keith Lee to try, and how fast can we produce this if one of these things go viral? So it always sounds easy on the forefront until you get the smart-ass balance sheet people come in and just pick at every little element. So changing their store, I agree with Chicago-Rilla, it's going to be less about the actual space, being the space for people to come and create. The company itself have to change the brand to where kids think it's cool to just be associated with the name. I'm going on mute.
The issue with like things like McDonald's and their franchises, so a lot of them, like the franchise itself has to change because they're individually owned. So that's going to be on an individual basis. Like each McDonald's, wherever it's located, is going to be appealing, has to appeal to that community it sits in. but you can't change the franchise model without getting permission. So that also starts a dilemma. They'd have to go all the way to the top so the entire franchise itself makes an agreement with that change. That's also problematic with large fast food chains.
So the fast food model, and I haven't been inside a fast food restaurant for a very, very long time, but it appears that they haven't changed too much over the years. If you remember back in the day when people used to frequent and go inside to eat, if you ever went in like a McDonald's, there's a couple things that you would notice. It was always extremely cold in there, right? It's always cold, and the seats were always uncomfortable, and that was because it was designed for you to eat your food and leave and not linger. So they wanted you to eat your food and then get up out of there. Now, somebody mentioned something, I think Chicago mentioned something, and I think the difference is, if you notice, like in Starbucks, it's warm in there, it's comfortable, the furniture is more comfortable, so you do stay longer and linger. And so they kind of want you to hang out. Starbucks wants you to stay inside the store. McDonald's and the fast food restaurants want you to get out. And so I think changing the model of making the actual restaurants comfortable in places where people want to sit and partake. I don't know if that does anything to the bottom line of the food, but I know the trade-off could be, like Dwayne was mentioning, if there are places like how we have like the fan base stage in the office. Imagine if you go to McDonald's and they have like a content creator stage where you can make content, you know what I'm saying, inside of McDonald's. Kind of like what Brandon did with Crystal. You know what I'm talking about, Nick? How they made with
Shane's did, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought that was a good idea. I think that I don't think that they actually followed through enough, or they didn't let them go as far. Yeah, they didn't follow through. And I don't think they let them go as far as they wanted to go. Like Crystal didn't let them go as far, because they wanted to hang a gold chain off that Crystal sign, which was like the original mock-up. It was dope. It was like a big ass gold chain with a Crystal burger. She would have been crazy, and kind of like, you know, create that whole energy and vibe, but they didn't really let them go there with it. But when you create those experiential things like that, I think people are tapped in more. So I think people want to create content and have things to do. Like I said, IRL is going to be so much more important than photos, because you're going to be able to render photos. You're going to be able to render yourself wherever you want to render yourself in the next 4 or 5 years. So being able to say, I was really there, like I was at this particular location or at this particular event or with this particular person at this time, that's going to be a lot more important, is creating those in real life experiences, as opposed to, you know, just bland ass restaurants that people just, you know, people would much rather eat their food or watch the movie at home. I much rather go to the movies in my living room than going to the movie theater sometimes now. So what gets people to come back outside? You got to, you know, make some adjustments and changes.
That might be a good thing for your for the library, though, because they already have the spaces built out, like for private spaces, and then there's kids who might not have the content. Might not have the money for the content, so they could have it there at the library, and then allow the kids to make their content.
Actually, I'm shocked there's a lot of. Well, I ain't gonna cut you off, Joseph. I want to say this. One, we're at the 10:30 mark, so halfway point. If you got something you want to add to the conversation, the question you want to ask, please raise your hand. Gary will get you up here. And Joe, right before you start, I just want to say this. I'm actually surprised that some of y'all just didn't say just eliminate the dining room altogether. Save on the build out. Save on the whole thing.
I like a ghost kitchen.
Yeah, just wipe it all out together. I mean, if everybody going through the drive-through, if we believe the stats and we're saying. Yeah, I mean, you might as well be Checkers. You know what I'm saying? If you're McDonald's or Burger King or whatever, and everybody going through the drive-through anyway, why not just wipe the whole thing out? Save your space, save your build out, save on that real estate, and get something a little more smaller, a little more compact, and and call it a day. And also, I do want to throw this out there. Yeah, well, hold on, and I do want to throw this out there because I know we kind of got stuck on McDonald's. I want to venture out on everything. So let's anybody who's coming up on stage, let's talk about the movie theaters. Let's talk about the library, sports bar, whatever you can think of that we kind of grew up on, playgrounds. What else can we do at this point besides just completely wipe them out? What can you do to get people, kids, whatever, showing up? I love the content idea. I'll even tell y'all this. Patchwork Studios is here in town. In Atlanta, it's one of the premier recording studios. But I've watched people build new studios in Atlanta, and I'm like, well, why the hell would you do that when all the kids are recording at home? Like, you'd have been better off building a podcast studio or a multimedia type of space than a recording studio. That's almost kind of a waste of money at this point because nobody's booking recording studios at $100 an hour anymore, 125 with an engineer, 150 with an engineer. Like, that's a silly expense at this point. So I want to kind of open it up, not just to fast food. I want to kind of throw all the ideas out there. But Gary, like I said, start looking for hands so we can get people up on stage. And Joe, what was you saying before I cut you off?
No, I was just going to add that the library, a lot of libraries, especially here in Atlanta, they offer free space for nonprofits or as well as library card holders for event space. So I've actually done a couple of events at the Auburn Ave Library. Great event space. So if you have a nonprofit or have a library card, there's a lot of times you can go down there and actually create content already for free.
It is.
Right.
Hold on, Johan, I'm sorry. I forgot one more thing. I'm sorry. I never told y'all to hit that share button at the bottom of the screen at the beginning of this call. It's the midpoint. Let people know that we're in there having this conversation. Look at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Hit the arrow, share the room. Let people know that we're having this conversation. And let's get more people in here so we can get some more thoughts and some ideas rolling. Tweet it, share it, text it, whatever you got to do. Just let people know that we got this thing going on. And Johan, back to you.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, like, I think it depends on the business type, the business model itself, like the pivot in that Airbnb is going through particularly. I think a lot of people, I think they're only pivoting like that because their metrics probably show that a lot of people are using the Airbnb, not really for staying, but for the experience, right? So the ability to have content, because there are a lot of people purchasing homes and building them out into content houses, especially in California area and Florida. So I think it depends on the business itself where they're going to pivot to, because the thing is, if the metrics doesn't show, like Duran was talking about, yeah, you probably need to eradicate it, or you really have to completely rebrand, which is too expensive for a franchise as big or some kind of company that is at that scale. Because I know you're trying to move away from franchise models like McDonald's and things like that, but most large companies, even if it's a movie theater, they are franchised, so that there are restrictions, there are things in their bylaws. The rollout of something like that is going to be really expensive, and they have to get it right.
You're not wrong. I mean, you're 100% right about that. I feel like some of the times though, you see these companies and what's happening is just a lack of creativity, a lack of wanting or desire to be innovative. Tiff has a mobile bar that she's been working on, and it's been doing extremely well. Please support it where you can. It's called the Atlanta Prosecco Van. But even with that, I mean, I would put the Atlanta Prosecco Van maybe at the library. Why don't they serve alcohol or wine or something at the public library? That's an idea that I don't think any of these public libraries have even considered.
The library is empty because people don't read. I mean, we're getting a little bit ahead of the A-ball.
If you made the library more social, and you made it more of a gathering spot than it is, come here, check out
the library is there to fucking learn. And that's the problem. People are getting the wrong perception out of what the library should be. You put more stuff in the library, they can just take the damn books out. It just become a hall going on.
Maybe that's the way. Maybe that's the new way.
Audiobooks. People are listening to books more than they're reading them.
That's true.
Yeah, actually, a lot of libraries I found out that they have digital libraries. Like, people are probably spending more time on the digital library using a library card right now more than they are going to a library. I didn't even know that they had a ton of books on the library.
And it depends on the state. It depends on the state too, Nick. Like Johan said, like here in California, LA specifically, Barnes and Nobles, like you could almost have to wait outside in a line to get inside. Every single time my wife and I go to Barnes and Nobles to get our weekly books, it's just super crowded. It's 3 floors in there, so it really just depends on the state. And Californians, don't tell them that because they already think they're the smartest people in America. But yeah, because the model's going to be different for different states. But if Amazon perhaps should do some library models. It would be cool to see Amazon do some library models because they still own the book model. But that's also a factor in this conversation, the state as well. I'm going on mute.
Yeah, that would be fire. We got
kids are using Cliff Notes to do book reports these days. They don't use books. They use the Cliff Notes.
ChatGPT now.
And ChatGPT.
Straight up. Welcome back to the stage, Miss Fluid from St. Louis. What would you like to add to the conversation?
Hey y'all, so I just want to say that here in St. Louis, we actually do like free stuff very well. So the libraries, there's different programs where like you can even do like kids yoga. They'll do like clay making stuff. Like they have a lot of activities, and we have studios like in our main downtown library. We have a studio where you can come record your music, and it's all like really professional, high grade quality. And we have a concert hall. They'll have a mobile bar come in when they have concerts. And so you'll be able to drink and all of that. So I see like in St. Louis, we have a really good library model where you can come get the audio books and you can chill. There's a lot of different activities you can do. Me and my community, we book out a conference space at least once a month so we can all kind of discuss our business plans and everything together. So I see them doing a lot of good things with like the libraries, even though I don't know anybody who's still checking out books at the library, to be honest. So I think if they were to revamp it, maybe having like a section where you can actually buy the book instead of renting it, because that's my problem. I'm not going to bring the book back. So if they made it to where there was a section where you could just buy it, I think that would be
do y'all think it's important? I was going to say, do y'all think it's important for kids to know how a library works, from a library card to researching for a book, to checking out a book, to all that kind of... Is it important these days?
Very. I would say it's real important, and I don't think that they really given that information, because that was kind of slimming down even when I was in school. It was really just my mom showing me how to do that. I don't think outside of that, anybody really showed me how to research.
It depends. That's going back to what Nick was saying as far as getting people there. Our household, the physical books we probably have now, 1,250 physical books. So, I mean, our kids go with us sometime to Barnes & Nobles, but we have a regimen with them studying on the internet, them studying physical books, them studying articles, them watching documentaries. Just the learning cycle is a bit different. We're asking that question based on the premise of us going to the library was probably 80% of the focus of acquiring information. That's just not the case nowadays. You can literally get information now even faster through ChatGPT. So perhaps it's important just for legacy purposes, but I don't take the position we teach kids about the past and not prepare them for the future, because a lot of things in the past does not necessarily reflect where the future is going. So again, it really depends. Now, having said that, Dean, my 2-year-old daughter and my daughter that's 6 months, we're probably going to do that with them, but they're homeschooled. And our teenagers, they weren't. They went to traditional school. So it's all relative. I'm going home.
All right, thank you for that, Miss Fluid. Thank you for that, Duran and Dean. Leonard, welcome back to the stage, good brother. What would you like to add to the conversation?
Good morning. I just want to touch on the food and beverage side. During the pandemic, a lot of convenience stores, the more popular ones in the Mid-Atlantic, started, when they remodeled their stores, they built them with a drive-through component, because they figured if we're going to ever be social distancing again in the future, we're not going to be able to have people who can't come in the stores, or limit the amount of people coming in our stores, when we can just have them go through the drive-through. At the same time, around 2022, Chipotle's had an article where all new stores, at least 142 of them, were going to be built with a drive-through component to address that. If we ever have another pandemic where people have to social distance, we're still going to be able to crush it. That place will survive a nuclear holocaust. People still go in there. People drop dead letters, and they're still going there and eat. Because it's quick, it's fast, and it's good, and it's quasi-healthy. But as far as food and beverage goes, they just have to revamp the way they do business in terms of drive-through, adjusting their layout. Because you look at Ruby Tuesdays, they were hurting before the pandemic. A lot of them never came back. They closed down. So you got to adjust and to meet your customers' needs as well as the changing times.
I ain't heard Ruby Tuesdays since the 80s. Potato skins. Word. Yo, I heard nobody say Ruby Tuesdays. What happened to potato skins? How about that? We need to bring the potato skins back. Anyway, go ahead. Who's next, Gary?
Let's see. Thank you for that, Leonard. Kay, welcome to the stage. Tell us where you're calling from and what would you like to add to the conversation?
Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good day. I was just thinking because I'm in Albania right now, and they keep opening these fast food restaurants, like the same exact fast food restaurant, but they're not franchises. It's just they sell the same thing. And it's like you were saying before, like there's this lack of creativity. And I think it would be really neat if people started maybe putting things together. Like I remember when I was in the States taking the kids to like a science museum or something like that, and it had like the playground, it had like all the sciencey stuff, it had, you know, this cute little area the kids could pretend like they were adults in and do all this stuff. And I was like, it'd be neat if there were more places like this where parents could take their kids and there's a cafe inside. You can sit and have your coffee or your drink or whatever, and your kids are off playing. You can have a sandwich, you know, and they actually have stuff to do. And like someone else was saying when we were in Florida, they did have the podcasting things and like that stuff in the library. But I saw it in Switzerland. They had this indoor skate park that also had the store in there where you could buy your skates and all that kind of stuff. They had like paddle boards, so you could get paddle boards there and go out back. There was a lake. It was just like all this stuff built in one instead of just like a park. Like nobody wants to go to the park. But give us some food, give us something to do, you know, give us all these activities in like one spot. I think that'd be really amazing.
I agree. Well, welcome from Albania. What time is it there?
It's almost 5 in the evening.
Wow. Oh, yeah, we definitely appreciate you jumping on with us.
We global. I told you. Albania. Watch out. Stop playing with us.
Hit up Albania. Coach. Oh, welcome back to the stage. What would you like to add to the conversation, Coach?
Good morning. This is Coach Roberta. I'm calling from California. And, you know, I think it is important, though, to consider history because it is part of the solution. So when you guys were talking about restaurants, say, for example, McDonald's and some of the other ones that used to be kid-friendly before COVID, but including that, there were safety concerns. So a lot of restaurants had, the jungle gyms and balls, etc. But because of, pedophiles and then, transferring diseases, they removed that. I think we need to think of how do we replace that experience. And the other thing is you see a lot of these restaurants, or at least in California, it says we accept EBT, which suggests that that there are people in a certain demographic and income level that come to your restaurant. If they come and they have their kids, you don't have a place to accommodate them. So you really eliminated like a whole population and demographic of people. And it's not just the economic piece, but it almost feels like we aren't creating spaces and experiences for little people. It's like we go right to like high school and the content creators and all of that. But it's like if we believe kids are our future, it's like how do we replace that space? Or do we think of safer ways to say, hey, can we go back to jungle gyms? Do we need to have a different kind of way of monitoring who's in there? Because like I said, it was a petri dish and a place for pedophiles, but it's like you eliminated that experience. But I know here Chuck E. Cheese still is kind of a thing, right? I still think it's a petri dish, but you still have you know what I'm saying? But it's like, how do we not eliminate a whole group of young people, which means we're now starting to tell people, we don't have outside experiences for you if you have kids under like 11. You got to figure that out on your own, and we're just dealing with other people. So I think, I'm not sure what the answer is, but I think we need to be looking at that as well.
I like all those ideas. My daughter's, it's their dentist. The dentist has like arcade games in the dentist lobby, right? It got the TV is constantly showing Paw Patrol and all like the kiddie shows. I am shocked that McDonald's has not adopted more of a Dave and Bustery video game kind of vibe. When they took out the ball pit and all of that stuff, maybe that should have become the thing. They should have started putting PlayStations and Xboxes in the McDonald's. Really question:
as a business owner, for McDonald's to do that mean they're going to increase their spending, right? When they don't have to, they Like, nobody's going to stop going there. As much as people talk about bad eating, healthy choices, all this shit, I'm about to be 42 years old. And for 42 years old, McDonald's drive-thru always been popping. Inside and outside.
Facts.
Yeah.
When you have a business or a product that motherfuckers going to buy no matter what you do to it, good or bad, do you really got to make improvements?
The best thing McDonald's could have done in KFC was create the models to get our kids from eating that shit. So I'm proud of it. I'm going on mute.
Did you guys see, though, that I think it was earlier this year, McDonald's did a survey, and they said that now their average person that comes in there has to make at least almost $45,000 a year to be able to afford a McDonald's as a family meal or something like that.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Damn.
No. I didn't see that.
Let's see. And then with regards to, I'm not really sure about what to do about fast food, but with regards to the library, like the homie said, knowledge and all of that stuff, it used to be a pillar of the community. So I think with regards to the library providing a new form of community equity, I think they need to figure out incubators and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? So that way, if you're, the thing Nipsey was trying to do out there, if you're a young inventor, you should be able to go to the library and get resources. You may not research, you may not do any, who knows, but there should be an opportunity there for you to get funding, to add to your wealth of knowledge and things of that nature. So I think they should do monthly or bi-monthly incubators at libraries.
Let me ask you a question though, and I mean, is that the most efficient way to? So I'm a big efficiency person. So before, information, you used to have to go seek information, and now because of internet and technology, the information comes to you. It's a lot. I mean, imagine having to catch the bus and when I used to go to the library, I used to catch the public transportation, go all the way down to the library to search for the information that I wanted and write it down on a piece of paper and have to type it up on a typewriter and XYZ. And now I can sit in my bed and get all the exact same information and not have to, leave my house. And the hour it used to take me to get to the library, I can find that information and save time. So I think the convenience of actually the speed in which communication and information happen, I think we don't need to discount that. When it comes to the library, that part, seeking out information is always, and the one thing I think that does happen is that the more readily available information is, the less we seek it out. Because the entire world is in your phone right now. Everything that you could possibly want to know is probably inside of your phone, and most people aren't really seeking out that information to actually find it. But there is a level of convenience and probably efficiency in the way that we learn, because I know that the way that young people learn now is not the way that I used to learn. Mathematics, they don't even write anymore. Kids don't even write in cursive. No, I didn't know my brother didn't know how to sign his name. I'm like, what the hell? You don't know how to do a signature? So it's just, the changes in the convenience of technology and information also change behavior. But I don't know, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I would say I see benefits of it, but I can also see that there's probably some drawbacks to it.
Well, based on what you're saying, do we just shut the library down? Because I mean, based on what you're saying, I don't think that's where you was going. But what's the point then?
Damn, Nick.
I still want to see it.
I'm not anti-library. That's not my platform. You know what I'm saying? But if that's the case, if all the knowledge comes to us, if everything is on your phone, what's the point of having this building full of books?
Well, because there's still the humanity of community. So I still would love I would still think it was great to bring people together because young children some of my highlights as a kid was going to the library and then getting a story read to us by an adult. That was really, really cool for me. So somebody's gonna read a cool little a book to a group of children, and they're interested in learning that way. And I think that's still group think and group communication. I think that's something that's still important. But as far as the information is concerned, there's so many more ways, even to process the way that we learn how to process information. I don't know if we should always get so stuck on the old way of doing things, because there's a faster way to, these I see these little kids know how to use iPads now, dog. You know what I'm saying? They know how to order DoorDash from the iPad at 3. You know what I'm saying?
When was the last time?
What's up?
When was the last time you went to the library?
Oh, I haven't been to the library since I was in high school.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, because back in them days, it was mandatory for a school to take a class to the local library, get them to check out. They don't involve themselves in that no more. So it is responsibility on the parents. But I go all the time, and they do a lot of things. They have, if you're a small business, you can rent out an office space. There's a Mommy and Me center. They still do all of these things. I think you're right. I think just the times have changed, and the library needs to do more community services to kind of bridge that out, because there's a lot of people without the internet, or they have low-cost internet because, Verizon has this little partnership with, I don't even know what, the government, so that they can bring more internet into homes. But the problem is if a home doesn't have a printer or the computer is broken down, the library is where they go.
That's what I was thinking about with the young. I was just saying. So, with regards to what Ms. Fluid was talking about, with regards to entrepreneurship and booking it out for conferences and meetings and stuff like that, and taking it back to what Coach was saying about investing in young people, I think the main thing would be for let's say 10 and up, idea creation and incubation. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the information might be available to you, but you come here to the library to workshop your ideas and figure out how to take it next level.
That's probably the best idea there. I really love that idea. And they can structure the library around that, so they can have a professional that may want to donate their time. They do this in Silicon Valley all the time. All those billionaires, all the tech executives, they just help each other with knowing exactly how to do something. So, case in point, you may be able to search how to file an LLC and even get a company to do it for $90. But when it comes to specifics, like is it manager managed, is it member managed, how the assets are to be distributed, if you guys get to $1 million in revenue, you need a person that's going to actually help you draft that. Because even with ChatGPT, it'll give you the answer, but how do you put it inside of the documentation? And that's the part where AI and humans are going to work together in tandem. So I would love to see a library that have that structure. When you come in, this is the corporate governance booth, where we have professionals here that built $1 million businesses that can actually help you with the proper way to structure the documentation. Because we find that a lot. People get their documents, then as they scale, they find that they filed their shit incorrectly and stuff was done incorrectly. So I love that idea, Gary. If they can just change the library, and you can have the books relative to what you want to learn from that person. So when you go in there, they'll have books on law, they'll have books on copyright, books on trademarks. Then over in this side, you have the marketing booth. You may even get to see Nick in the marketing booth one day. I'm going on mute.
A mentorship Monday, like this week is a CPA, next week's a lawyer, something like that would be, that'd be awesome. You bring in the community, where they can do their Q&As, and those people should be able to gain business too, because there's questions that they're going to need to answer generically, and then set up times, these people could meet with them privately afterwards and gain their business.
Straight up.
I like that. Hey, Gary, I see a few hands up, and I want to get to them. I know we only got about 5 minutes left on the call, so if you want to, I'll let you finish.
Yes,
figure out who to bring up on stage.
I want to touch on.
It's funny. I'm running down. Oh, I'm sorry. Who's that?
You don't know your wife's voice?
I was about to say, I thought that was Tiff, and I'm like, oh, shit. Tiff, what you were saying?
I was saying I wanted to touch on movie theaters, because I think about, people travel across the nation, across the world to go to Disney, to Universal Studios, not to see Harry Potter for the first time. They've seen it. They've done the whole experience. But movie theaters should change their theaters to mini pods or family pods to get the whole experience of the dragon blowing smoke, feel a little heat. I think that they should change these theaters. Instead of fitting 200 people into a theater, it'd be more of a family pod or a group pod that you can rent those pods out to see a movie, to get the whole experience, maybe a little water splashed on you or something. It has to be more of an experience than just watching a film, because you can do that.
Yeah, something that you couldn't do on Netflix.
They started it in California too, Tiffany. They have I don't know if they have it in other states, but you can sit in these seats, and the seats when they're going through driving inside of the films and they're shooting the seats, they shake. The water comes out of the actual seat, so they're kind of going in that direction. But what you're talking about, I agree. That can fix the entire theater strategy. I think that's what Netflix is going to do, the back door to AMC. I'm going on mute.
All right, right, so
I see that too. Like I'm telling you, like I said, beginning of this call, I think showing the fights, showing the big football games or the soccer, the World Cup, stuff like that at the movie theater, or even like letting people rent it out for like business presentations or whatnot. Like you start using that screen for something else. Like there is a need for that.
Showing the Super Bowl on a movie theater screen would be crazy.
Straight up.
That would be
at the house.
Straight up.
Yeah, but it ain't the movie theater screen. That's different.
I'm at the crib.
So
I get to sit around here. Eat wings.
Real quick, y'all. So we got Terrell, Darlene, and then Colton. So y'all will be the last three. We've got about 5 minutes left, 4 or 5 minutes. So if you could try to make it short and sweet. What do you got, Terrell? Tell us where you're calling from. How would you like to add to the conversation?
Hey, what up, y'all? What up? Talkville, Tennessee, man. Real quick, I heard y'all mention Ruby Tuesday. I like what they did. I go to Ruby Tuesday not often just to get a Mr. Beast burger, right? Mr. Beast is on the menu there. And when I order there, I walk out with a bunch of blue bags because it's all Mr. Beast branding. It's his burger. It's his menu, and they're cooking it. I just saw Zaxby's. They just added to there. They just added Mr. Beast to there. So I like that concept. That's a huge twist in the market by getting somebody like Mr. Beast. Or now you're going to see other influencers that follow that. By adding them to your menu, you can actually pull their traffic into your stores. Because Ruby Tuesday is still hurting. But, man, I'm going to get Mr. Beast. I appreciate the conversation.
Damn, that's dope.
Hey, I like that. Let me see some likes right there. Great job. I like that.
Straight up. Darlene, welcome back to the stage. What would you like to add to the conversation?
I'm going to ride on the library portion. I'm from Long Beach, California.
WC.
And I use the library for my neighborhood association board at least twice a year. We do a chili cook-off there. We may have a poets there. We may have a DJ there. And the library piggybacks off of what we do because people bring their children there. So they set up a story portion for that. So they get a utilization there. And we also do a teen summit there, which is a program that we start with children. Well, they're not children, young adults. 9th, 12th grade, teaching them how to get through college. If they're going there or if they're not going there, we have speakers there for them. So they get things out of there. And I'm going to be adding AI this year for it. And when we're looking for speakers, you can't be over 40.
Okay. There it is.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Darlene.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Darlene.
Colton, welcome to the stage. Where are you calling from? What would you like to add to the conversation?
Hey, what's going on, y'all? I appreciate y'all having me. I'm calling from Dallas, Texas. I'm actually going to talk about the library side of it. We use the library now, I think, unintentionally because of the evolution of tech. You know, now still it's different ways of having a library, even with all the information at the palm of your hand. I would just use the record store as an example for like my throwback store type of example. The experience of going to the record store, you know, you had different radio stations that will probably come up and set up at the record store, break new artists, break new music. I don't think that we cater to that side anymore because we have so many fast ways to get music and then fast ways to just like fly past our music through the TikTok thing and doing the quick dances and stuff like that. But I think we have a way now with new tech and the evolution in the way that we have libraries now, because we still do have libraries.
I'm going to add the art library.
You're leaving?
Yeah, libraries and music and
right,
things like that. But yeah, I think we're not fully monetizing, you know, now that we have this upgraded tech, we're not fully monetizing that aspect of it. Or just not seeing that we are in a library place, but it's just not the same way.
Straight up.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Man, they better put laptops in those libraries and teach those kids generative AI.
You mean laptops, L-A-B-T-O-P, laptop. No, I'm kidding. Laptop and library.
The irony what I heard from this conversation, Nick, is even for people that are big proponents of going to the library, it didn't work out. Most of the people my age still not literate, so we just had that shit as legacies. What we going to teach them? How we didn't read? Man, we need to put laptops. We need to put laptops in those libraries. Maybe force Apple and Microsoft to donate. You can put locks on them so people can't get inside of them and teach those kids generative AI.
Yeah, let's get some
computer labs. Bring people inside the library is actually adding technology into the library. If Apple, they're fitted with iPads and laptops, and absolutely.
A computer lab. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Now, see, that's the best idea to come in this shit. Thanks, Duran. See, that was the best idea. Put technology into libraries.
How about we teach them the things that aren't taught in school still to this day, like how to balance budgets and how to be an entrepreneur and stuff like that. I mean, we teach them all these crazy math classes. We'll teach them calculus, but we won't teach them how to freaking invest and save money.
Oh yeah, no, that's not. That was because if you want to be candid, it was designed to create employees, not entrepreneurs. And so,
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Let's make it something where everybody can benefit. I mean, the kid's great. They're our future, but shoot, some 60-year-old could come in there and learn how to open up a business.
Straight up. Be like Birdman, like no disrespect to reading books, but I mean,
you really think that? No disrespect. You really think that's gonna help you?
That was crazy.
You really think that's gonna help you?
That was the greatest quote I've ever heard in my life.
That was crazy.
That was so Birdman, though. That was so Birdman.
Crazy. That was crazy.
Reading books. I mean, you really think that's gonna help you? I love it.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy. I've never heard anything so crazy. Like that's crazy. He said, "You think books are gonna help?" Like, yo, wow.
Man. So look, guys, it's 11 o'clock. I appreciate everybody jumping. I appreciate everybody getting creative, getting smart. I want to do more calls like this because I feel like it's enough brains on this call to reimagine a lot of cool things that I think a lot of marketing departments, a lot of corporations just aren't considering. They're just not having the conversation. So I think, it takes people like us. It takes, a group think like us that some of y'all might can go propose this to your company or to possibly even go get a career or start go to a company and apply for a job and say, hey, I got this idea that I got from the Monday Morning Marketing Meeting, and I want to come in here and implement this thing that I think can drive your bottom line, bring more awareness, bring more people into your establishment, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? I think somebody on this call could really be the one that lead this charge. So,
are you going to circle back around to the library?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to
y'all don't put an R on library. I'm telling you.
I know, library. It's library.
It's like 90% of the people have said library today.
Library.
Like, yo, y'all been bugging today. Like, yo, for real.
No disrespect to libraries, but I mean,
I am gonna circle back around and fuck with them.
I am gonna circle back. I've been so busy that it's just time. It's a time management thing of, allocating my time and my resources and my energy, where I need to. So yes, I definitely want to do it because it's just something that's important to me. I feel like I do believe that reading is fundamental. I remember the book it days of reading 5 books and getting a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut. That was a highlight.
Name 10 books. Name 10 books.
But I mean, I remember those days, and I look at it, and it does kind of scare me that when I meet college kids or even people that want to intern in the music business and they can't read, or they're not great readers. It's a little scary. Oh, I don't know what that is. It scares me a little bit when I'm like, damn, like, okay, I know you're 23, 24, 25 years old, but like you don't have a basic comprehension level of reading. So it's like, reading is super important to me, and it's something that I definitely want to push. Because it scares me that we're raising a generation of kids, or that there seems to be a generation of kids that are not
as
able
important
to
as reading, Nick, is what you read as well. There's a lot of people, even my age, they be regurgitating all this fake information that they learn from these white schools. So it's what you read as well. So if we're going to read just to feel safe and not study mathematics and study science and physics and astrochemistry, like the things that actually make the earth work and make our organisms work, then we're better off not reading altogether. So we can't do safe reading. I'm going on mute.
There it is. So, hey, that's a great way to end it, man. So I appreciate everybody. We do this call every single Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Fanbase. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And we will see y'all next week. Appreciate y'all.
Hey, Nick, give me a shout later on. Something also from the concert I saw Saturday night, so I wanted to tell you about for 1 RPM.
All right, bet. I'll hit you about 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Isaac, check your DM, brother.
For sure.
Visit the library.